Hey guys, Way here. Um, for those of you guys who couldn't tell with the scrubs, I actually started another job recently. I decided to go back into nursing and go into travel nursing, and so that's why you have not seen a video from me in the past several weeks because I've been adjusting to that, and I am still actually in the middle of a recalibration kind of process. Earlier this year, I had several videos talking about the importance of balance and how that was the key to really restoring balance in my bodies, the mental, physical, energetic, emotional, and spiritual. Well, starting work again is quite a shift, so I'm in the middle of another balancing thing, but I wanted to take the time in this video to share an insight that just clicked. I really have to call it more of a remembering because I forgot and I remember again. Something that's super important to know about balancing. So I found myself these past several months starting to feel a little more down consistently, with my mood. My thoughts started to become more negative, relatively speaking, again. And I started to get lax on some of the balancing activities that I was maintaining for months because, the mind thought, oh, okay, I'm feeling good now. I don't have to do anything else anymore. So I kind of started to get lax on some of the things I was doing. And so then I started to notice more muscle tension coming back, more on and off pains coming back. I started to get an irritable bowel again, like those symptoms where your bowel movements are all over the place and you're having cramps and gas and all that, right? And in the middle of all that, I'm like, my thought was okay, what am I doing wrong? How can I find balance again? All these thoughts, right? And see, here's the thing. There's no right or wrong way to do this, first of all. The mind has been very conditioned to think that it has to be, if something has to be right or something has to be wrong. And that's not really true. There's no wrong way to do this when it comes to balancing things out. It's more of a, does this serve you or is this not serving you? That was a better question for me, for one. And then for two, I found that every time I noticed when I asked, how do I find balance? I need to find balance in my body. I don't find it. And the reason is sometimes when you're in a seeking mode, which is basically what I was doing, I'm seeking balance as if it wasn't really there, that kind of blocks the progress. So I realized that I was looking at balance from a static kind of standpoint. Okay, so what I mean by that is when I'm thinking of balance, I'm thinking about it okay, it just I think of it in a more tense, static, it doesn't change. Kind of like how a lot of things in society are right now, where there's this expectation that things are going to be the same, and that's just what you do. The things that you do is just what you do every single day, regardless of the circumstances. It wants to be static. But see, the thing is, the world does not work that way. The universe is not static. If you are female, your body definitely is not static. It is always changing. And so it's the same thing with balance. It's more of a dynamic thing. Even if you're standing still on one foot, there's still energy moving around. Even if you look at a rock, there's still particles and energy and stuff moving around within that rock, right? And with balance, it's the same thing. So what I found is that when I look at it as, okay, the bodies are already working to try and rebalance things out, right? So the physical body, it knows what it's doing. It already has a mechanism in place to try and balance things out. Same with the mind, same with the emotional body, spiritual, all of those things. And sometimes especially if I got into a place where I felt like I have to do the rebalancing, but from a standpoint of I have to control it, right? Like I have to make this happen. And this is not something that you could make happen in that standpoint. If you're coming from like I have to control everything standpoint, and you'd be surprised how common this is. It still happens to me. You're getting in your own way because you're not allowing the bodies to go and do its work. Okay, so what I found is when I allow the bodies to go and do its thing, which is not the same thing as you just do nothing and just expect things to go happen. You know, again, we're balancing between the extremes. But at the same time, if you're focused on trying to force everything to go a particular way, whether it is in your life situation or within your physical body, when the bodies have its own way of doing stuff, sometimes we can build our own walls and basically like slow down what's trying to happen on its own. So I found that balance is more about acknowledging, even if you don't feel it, because let's just be real, sometimes it does not feel that way, that the body knows what it's doing to try and rebalance stuff, right? And that I am simply helping the process along. Like I'm enhancing the process, speeding it up, whatnot. That is the purpose, at least for me in my program, with the balancing activities. And that's why I highly recommend focusing on one at a time, because it's so easy to fall into, okay, I'm gonna do this, because there's a lot of things you can do to help restore balance to any of these bodies, right? And it's easy to get trapped into that, like, okay, I'm doing, instead of like having one thing to focus on and then let everything else play out, you know, especially if you're in like an impatient kind of space, like I have been for the past like several months, you know. So if you want more information on like this whole idea of like allowing things to take place, like you still do, but balancing it with allowing things instead of trying to control like every single piece of the puzzle, Abraham Hicks is an amazing resource for that sort of thing. I found her after I started doing some of these things, but I found that like when I did 20% action and like 80% like mindset and like presence and like allowing things to just kind of unfold, I got way better results than trying to do 100% doing. I guess that's basically what I'm trying to say. So in summary, when balancing is a process, it is a dynamic, changing, fluid process. Okay, there are going to be days that you feel like nothing's happening. There are going to be days where you or the mind, technically, because it's not you're not actually the mind, and you're not the thoughts. You're going to have thoughts that pop up like, okay, is this really working? Like, I'm not doing a lot. I'm not doing enough. I could be doing more. All those are like thought forms. And for me and many other humans here, we have been trained to do to a point where like the mind's not used to just taking a step back. Take a step back and then be present, So I hope that this helps. If you want more information about some of this stuff I'm talking about, I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel, and then I go through this all in more depth in my program, which there's a link in the description below for you if you are interested in that. So with that said, I will see you guys in another video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right, bye.